Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, so today we will start with a new chapter in history, Nazism and the rise of Hitler. I hope all of you have heard something or the other about Hitler. Yes? Heard his name?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, so what do you know about
yes.
Hitler? I would like to know.
He was a dictator.
Okay, he was a dictator.
He
ma'am, he
was from the
disliked
Nazi
Jews.
party.
Yes, he was.
Ma'am, he
He was
disliked
from the
Jews.
Nazi party. His party symbol was swastik. He
Okay,
liked
Yes,
Aryan
ma'am.
race. He wanted to kill Jews, which he thought was a burden on humanity.
okay,
He
Yes, ma'am.
supported Spencer's theory that the most powerful will survive.
okay. Have you gone through this chapter?
I'm very little.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Quite big chapter.
all right. Okay, so, little bit you all know about Hitler, and the rest we'll get to know about Hitler and what this Nazism was all about during this chapter. So, let's start. Okay, now in the spring of 1945, there was a little 11-year-old German boy. His name was Helmut, and he was lying in his bed and he heard his parents talk about something, his parents discussing something, and they were very serious, very seriously discussing something. And his father, Helmut's father, was a very senior physician there, and now he was discussing with his wife that whether this was the time to kill the entire family or he should commit suicide alone. Now, uh, his father spoke, and his father, while talking about his suicide and killing the whole family, he spoke something about revenge, and he said that now the allies will do to us what we did to the crippled and the Jews, and so the next day the father he took Helmut to the woods, to the nearby forest, and they spent their last happy time together, and they sang old children's song. And later on, Helmut's father he shot himself in his office, and Helmut he remembers that he saw his father's bloodied uniform being burnt in the family fireplace. And the boy he was only 11 years old, and what he was so traumatized by what he heard and what he has seen, that he reacted by refusing to eat anything at home for the next 9 years, and he was afraid that his mother might poison him because he overheard his father saying that whether they should kill the entire family or he should just commit suicide alone. And so and then what happened later on, his father killing himself and his uniform being burnt in the family fireplace, house fireplace. So like the boy he was so overcome with fear and trauma that he didn't eat at home for the next 9 years. Now obviously, Helmut, just a 11-year-old boy, he did not realize what it all meant, and he did not, though he knew that his father had been a Nazi and a supporter of Adolf Hitler, but uh, like many of you also like something about Hitler and the Nazis, uh, and like Hitler, he had his this determination of making Germany into a superpower, and he had this ambition of conquering the whole of Europe. And then, like some of you have also heard, that he killed the Jews, but Nazism was not about only like one of this that he killed the Jews, or that he wanted to be Germany to be a superpower, or he wanted to conquer the whole of Europe. So Nazism was not just one or two isolated acts; it was basically a proper system, a proper structure of ideas about how the world and how the politics should be in the world. And so, during the course of this chapter, we will try to understand what Nazism was all about. And now let us see why Helmut's father he killed himself and why he was so afraid. He said that now he was talking of revenge, and he said something like that now the allies will do to us what we did to the crippled and the Jews. So let's see what was the basis of his fear. Now in May 1945, Germany They surrendered to the Allies. Okay, so we are talking about the Second World War. What was the duration of the Second World War? Anyone here? From which year to which year? Class ninth? Does anyone know?
1939 to 1945.
Okay, right. So
In the
1930.
formation of United
So
Nations, 24 October 1945.
okay, so 1939 to 1945, 6 years long. Now in May 1945, Germany they finally surrendered to the Allies, and so now knowing what was to come, Hitler, his propaganda minister Goebbels, and his entire family, they committed suicide collectively in his Berlin bunker in April. Now, so that means war came to an end. Germany surrendered to the Allies. Germany was a loser, the Allies being winners in this war. And at the end of the war, an international military tribunal in Nuremberg it was set up to prosecute, to punish Nazi war criminals, and now they had to be prosecuted or punished for crimes, the crimes which we have committed against peace, war crimes, and also crimes against humanity. Now, Germany's conduct during war, the way they conducted themselves during war, and especially those actions of Germans which came under or what came to be called as crimes against humanity, they raised very serious moral and ethical questions, and whole world they condemned Germany on what they had done. Now, what were these acts against humanity that we are talking about, and why throughout the world everyone condemned Germany? Let's see. Now, under the shadow of the Second World War, so on one side the Second World War was going on, and on the other side in Germany all this was going on. Germany inside had waged a genocidal war. Now, genocidal war basically means racial killing or racial massacre. Massacre means killing, brutal killing of a large number of people. So a large number of people were being brutally killed on the basis of the race they belonged, and this resulted in the mass murder of some. It was not that everyone was being killed, it was like selected groups of individuals and civilians, they were taken up to be killed. Now the number of people killed, they included 6 million Jews, 2 lakh gypsies, 1 million Polish civilians, 70,000 Germans, even Germans who were considered physically or mentally ill, disabled, now they were also killed, and then political opponents also, they were also killed in huge numbers. And now the way the Nazis killed the people, now that is also very scary, and I think most of you would be knowing that how the Nazis killed the people. Anyone has an idea?
Ma'am, gas chambers.
All right.
In gas chambers, ma'am, they
Mhm.
gas them
All right.
very
So in
brutally.
yes, so in gas chambers they gas them, and so they had many chambers like the one in Auschwitz, and here they gas the people to death with precision. We'll see all that during the course of the chapters, and so after the Second World War, this tribunal was set up to prosecute the crimes which were committed during the Second World War in Germany, and so the Nuremberg Tribunal they sentenced only 11 leading Nazis to death. So only 11 people were sentenced to death, and many others they were given life imprisonment. So the retribution or the penalty or the punishment for what wrong they had done, it did come. But still the punishment was very short. If we see the above numbers and then we see the number of people who are being punished, only 11 people being given life sentence, and others were given death sentence, only few others. Now, but what crimes they have committed, now that surpasses the punishment that was given to them. And now the Allies, why they gave not a due punishment to Germany. Now why? Because allies, they did not want it to be so harsh on defeated Germany as they had been after the First World War. And everyone, by this time, they came to realize that they felt that maybe the rise of Nazi Germany, now it can be traced back to what Germany has experienced at the end of the First World War. So now let's go to the First World War to see what happened to Germany after the First World War, so as to know and why this time the punishment was so less. Okay, now Germany, they had been a powerful empire in the early years of the 20th century, and they also participated in the First World War. First World War 1914 to 1918, and they had participated in the war with alongside or with the Austrian Empire, and against the Allies. The Allies were England, France, and Russia to begin with, and later on they were also joined by Italy, Japan, and USA. But that was later. In the beginning, it was the Allies were England, France, and Russia, and the Central Powers. The Central Powers were Germany, Austria Hungary, then the Ottoman Empire or the Turkish Empire, there, the Muslim Empire, and Bulgaria. So these were the Central Powers, and they against the Allies. Okay, so now when the war started, many people, many of the countries, they very enthusiastically they joined in the war, and they thought that the war will give in some quick returns. You know, you participate in a war and you win over, and then obviously the money and the resources that you get over the territory that you won, even the territory now becomes yours. So obviously the profit involved was too much, and so many of the countries, they simply participated in this war because they thought that it will provide them some quick gains. But no one knew that the war will stretch on. This is the First World War we are talking about. No one knew that the war will stretch on for so long, and so the war stretched on, and it drained Europe from all its resources. And Germany, though it made initial in the beginning, they made some gains by occupying France and Belgium, but still later on in 1917, the Allies, they were strengthened by US entry, and finally Germany was defeated, and Germany and the Central Powers were defeated in 1918. So Germany, they made some initial gains, but later on Germany and the Central Powers, they were defeated by US entry in 1917. Okay, so First World War, Germany, they end on the loser side. Now, so the defeat of Imperial Germany. Now, at the time of the First World War, uh, Germany was not a democratic country. It was Imperial Germany, means it was led by a king, a monarch. So the defeat of Imperial Germany and the abdication of the emperor, and Germany was defeated in the First World War, and then the emperor there, he also quit his position. He also stepped down from being an emperor, and so Germany defeated, and the emperor stepped down. So now it gave time or a correct opportunity to those people who believed in a parliament form of government to recast or to give a new shape to German politics. And so a national assembly, they met at Weimar, and they established a democratic constitution. So after the emperor stepped down, uh, a democratic type of government was established, and the parliament met at Weimar, and so now deputies, they were elected to the German parliament or the Reichstag. So the German parliament was called as the Reichstag, and this was done on the basis of equal and universal votes. So the people were elected on the basis of universal adult franchise, and that means all adults, including women also, they also voted for this Weimar Republic. Now this republic, though it was on the democratic principles, and still, it was not received well by its own people. So German people only, they did not accept this new type of government there. Why? Because Germany was forced to accept the terms of treaty after the first war. Now those terms of treaty were very humiliating and very harsh and very strict, and the because the peace treaty at Versailles with the allies was very harsh and humiliating, so they put the guilt of all this on this new Weimar Republic. And because this terms of treaty was signed by this new terms of treaty was signed by the Weimar Republic, so the people of Germany, they blamed this Weimar Republic for all that they had to bear. All right, now the king was gone, the emperor was gone, and so now they blamed this new government for everything that they had to suffer. Now let's see the punishment which Germany got out after the First World War, and which is said to be the basis for the rise of Nazi Germany and leading to the Second World War. Let's see what the terms of the treaty were. Germany lost its overseas colonies, so Germany lost all its overseas colony, tenth of its population, 13% of its own territory, 75% of its iron, and 26% of its coal to France, Poland, Denmark, and Lithuania. So you could well imagine that they took so much from Germany, and the Allied powers also demilitarized Germany. Means now they could not have an army, so no military there to weak, and so Germany's power was, this was done to weaken Germany's power, and so that they may not try something like this again in future, and that is why Germany was demilitarized. Then the war guilt clause, they held Germany responsible for this First World War and for all the damages that the Allied powers they had to suffer, and so Germany was forced to pay a compensation amounting to 6 billion livre. So 6 billion livre amount of money they had to give, and then they lost so much that we just now saw. And the Allied armies, in addition to all that, the Allied armies, they also came to occupy the resource rich Rhineland. So Rhineland was a resource rich place, and it was occupied by the Allies for the most of 1920s. So now so much war reparation they had to give, means 6 million livre. Then they lost 75% of its coal. Now that means so much. 26%, 79% of its iron, now 75% of iron. Now that really is huge, and 26% of its coal. Then they lost their colonies, and they lost their territories, and then no military also. And then even if they try to better their economy by producing something and using their resources, now the resource rich area also, that also was taken up by the Allies for most of the 1920s. And now most of the Germans, they thought that this new Weimar Republic was responsible not only for the defeat in war, but also the disgrace at this Versailles Treaty. Now that is unfounded. We know that is unfounded because at the time Germany was defeated, this Weimar Republic was nowhere there. And the terms of the treaty which Weimar Republic was made to sign, now it was because of what Germany did during the First World War, or now all that. Now the people, they always need a scapegoat. You need someone to put the blame on, and so the people of Germany, they found this Weimar Republic a perfect fit to put blame of everything that has happened to them, or that is happening to them. And that is why this Weimar Republic was not taken up well by its own people. Okay, have you understood everything till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now the war we are talking about, the First World War here, now it had a very bad impact on the entire continent, now both in terms of finances and also psychologically, because from being a continent of creditors, those who gave credit, now Europe, it became a continent of debtors. So it turned into one of debtors. And now it was unfortunate that the new infant Weimar Republic. Why we are saying infant? Because this Weimar Republic, new democratic form of government, it was just being born there, and that is why it is called the infant. So it was unfortunate that this new infant Weimar Republic, it was made to pay for the signs of the old empire, means the old empire under the monarch, under the emperor, what sins they have committed. Now the Weimar Republic was made to pay for all those sins, and the republic, they carried the burden of war guilt and also national humiliation, and in addition they were also crippled by the financial compensation that they had to pay. Now everyone, so as a result, those who supported Weimar Republic, and who all supported the Weimar Republic, let's see, the socialists, the Catholics and the Democrats. Now they became targets of attack in this new Germany, and so they were mockingly called as the November criminals. Now why they were called as the November criminals? Because this terms of the treaty at Versailles, they were signed in November, and that is why everyone which supported the Weimar Republic, they were called as the November criminals. And this mindset had a huge impact on the political developments which took place in 1930s. Now the First World War, it left a very deep imprint on the society as well as the politics of Germany. Now soldiers came to be placed above the civilians. Soldiers came to be given more importance than the civilians, and politicians and publics, they talked about men to be aggressive and strong and masculine, and the media, they talked about the trench life. Now what are trenches, by the way? Yes, Kshitij, Dhruv, trench. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Dhruv, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ बेटा, sleeping. Okay, so what is a trench?
Mom, depression.
Okay, you know, when people are out fighting the army at war places, and so you know, they dug trenches in the ground, and you know, they hide in the trenches, and from there they fire, and so that is what a trench is. So the media, they glorified the trench life. They talked about the life of the army, the life of the military men in high terms, but the truth was something very different. Why? Because the soldiers, they really led very miserable, very sad lives in the trenches. And here, you know, while you are at war, so people are being killed next to you on this side and that side, and then you know, the rats, they also come and feed on the dead bodies, and you are also there alive and fighting in those circumstances. So it was very pathetic and miserable life for the soldiers, but the media talked about that in high terms, and so the people, they lived very bad, very miserable lives in the trenches along with the dead bodies which were eaten by the rats, and you know, they had to face bullets by the enemy and poisonous gases, and you know, seeing their people being dead, being decreased, being dead, and so you know, but still, so though the soldiers, they led miserable lives, but it was talked about in high terms by the media, so that the people may be impressed by that, and they may want to join the military. And so there was aggressive war propaganda and national honor. So talking about war and national honor, that you should be ready to give up everything for the sake and honor of your country. Now that was talking about everywhere, and so you know, now people, they started to even, there were ideas coming up which supported conservative dictatorship in place of democracy. Now this Weimar Republic, it was a democratic government, but because of all that happened to Germany, so now people, there were ideas to support a conservative dictatorship also. Now, in all these circumstances and situations, democracy was a very young and fragile idea, because democracy was new to Germany, and they had just been a monarchy, and after that, this new democracy was born there, but it had to suffer so much the war guilt and the finance and the war loans that they had to give back, the war reparations that they have to give, and all the guilt that they had to suffer. And so in all these circumstances, the economy of the country being very down, and now they had become debtors. And so in all these situations, democracy was very young and fragile idea, and which was not able to survive the instability of the interwar Europe. So, though the World War One came to an end, but the instability of that was that this new Weimar Republic was not able to bear. So, we'll stop here for today. Understood? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Yes, what about the rest? Have you all understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, found
Yes, ma'am.
found the chapter interesting or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Interesting.
Okay, so we'll stop here.